This is Jack again. Okay, so they infused themselves with the water, and of course no one knew how to get them out of it. So they placed another sound cocoon around the area which is huge, in which the Atlanteans resided, which was mainly over the water, which is now referred to as water. So that if they do dare in some way try and escape or come out of there, they won't be able to escape any further than the sound cocoon that was manifested. And that's where the enslavement of man started. The moment the Atlanteans were placed into the ape man. And they were left. Now and then Marduk would come back and basically just check on them, check in terms of the ape man, how they were perceiving the world. He programmed into them how to eat, how to capture, what to make to be able to eat, all those things. Basically the survival skills. So survival skills were programmed into the ape man. I specifically define it as survival skills because that's what they're required to do, survive. They were naked, of course. They required certain, how shall I call it, cloth type to just cover up, because of they didn't have beds, please, or sand, or anything comfortable as it exists now. It's in sand, and they realized the sand and whatnot existed in this world, on this planet. It was reasonably manifested then. It wasn't completely as it is now. So Marduk started playing with programming their minds, the systems, which the Atlanteans now, let's call it, powered, and he played with survival skills. I mean, Marduk was quite smart. He wasn't, he was really clever. He would use the basics of common sense in terms of, he was very good-hearted to a certain extent. He'd like, okay, what would I need or want or require to survive, and then he'd place himself as the ape man and then look at what it would be needed. First, how to get the food, of course, would be the most simplest, obvious question. Secondly, they found only where the necessity for the covering came was when these physical forms started getting these strange ulcers and things like that on their genitals, which was also designed already then, but not yet used. It was more for the necessity to urinate, and of course, what is the proper word for poo? I don't know. For pooing and excreting the processed food inside the stomach. That would be a nice profound way to place it. But everyone does it, so I'll just keep it straight. And so that was Marduk's task. He basically played around with that, and he enjoyed himself extensively because, I mean, it's part of him. It's his creation as well, and he became proud of it, extensively proud of it. He loved it. And so the Anunnaki, the Sirians and the Serpents continued with their plan to, of course, take over existence, all the planets, all the beings on it, and of course to find out a way to manifest a place which is now called which was called the dimensions, so that where the beings can go when they die, so they don't remember what happened to them, so that they can be recycled again. And so it started off firstly we have to design this dimensional extra layer, so where they can go when they die, when the systems die. Please remember, beings don't die, the systems die, so they don't remember to be recycled. And that's where they realized that where does But it's like a forgetfulness, but it's not really a forgetting. You don't forget. It is impossible. Because no matter what you participate in, no matter what exists in existence, no matter where you've been, if you realize you are that, you are that experience, you'll remember it. But to a certain extent, it doesn't really work that way. What I mean was they required to have the dimensional beings, interdimensional beings like the Atlanteans, forget who they are, when they die. Not necessarily forget what they experienced. Later on, the Anunnaki realized they can't even actually delete infinitely the remembrance of experiences in this world, or of beings themselves. So, they realized that they're required to create then a dimension, another dimensional layer across Earth, around Earth, which is the planet. In there, they designed a sound frequency system, also crystals, 4 crystals in the 4 corners of the world, which resonated a specific frequency, which is connected to a frequency then inside when the beings cross over the center of their mind. So, in other words, dimensional beings then also had mind systems that were placed into the center. It was exactly like the human form system, also had that center point, but it was interdimensional. In other words, what kept it in place was those 4 crystals that was placed in the dimensions, yet it stretched through interdimensionally. In other words, if you were a dimensional being manifested into the human form, that placement would still be there. Whether you're here or in the dimensions, it is infinitely placed in there. A system where you as who you are is completely and totally suppressed. You cannot delete life. You cannot eliminate you. We exist infinitely. And yet, you are able to be suppressed. That is possible. For a certain amount of time, but not infinitely either. So the dimensional beings and also had then the mind placement. So I'll continue with the mind placement in my next interview. Thank you very much.